Edition of Hitches and Voices on independent television and radio. Hitches and Voices is coming to you courtesy of Network for the Advancement of People with Visible Disability. My name is Kingsley Okoje, and I'm glad to announce to you today that beginning from today's edition and in subsequent editions, we will shift our attention and focus to the Edo State Disability Law. And this segment of the program is sponsored by the Joint National Association of Persons with Disability with support from the Ford's Foundation. The Joint National Association of Persons with Disability is called JONAPID. It is often known within the disability community that disability is a social creation. It is not inherent. And you will ask, how is it a social creation? No person with disability is born with a disability. Disability is a creation of our society. Yes, we might be born with certain limitations or defects, but we are not born persons with disability. It is society that has created this disability for us. And it's a known fact that the world we live in today is built and designed for persons without disability alone. I repeat, the world we live in today is built and created, designed for persons without disability alone, which means persons with disability who live in today's world are excluded from how society is built and designed. This is so because many persons with disability all across the globe do not have access to public infrastructures like transportation, buildings, as well as access to education and healthcare. This explains why persons with disability across various countries have been advocating for a legislative instrument or a legislative framework that will protect their rights and dignity. Some countries have been lucky to have their country enact laws that protect them. Others are still waiting for the sun to shine on them. A good example of this, some of the countries who have had their laws enacted to protect their rights, is the United States of America, the American Disability Act. But did it come easy for them? Did it come on a platter of gold? It came on the sweat and tears of persons with disability. In March 1990, over 1,000 persons with disability marched on the streets of New York to the White House. And among these 1,000 persons with disability, about 60 of them on crutch, wheelchair, and cane guide abandoned their mobility device, crawled, pushed themselves on an 80-staircase building, which is referred to as the Capitol House, to demonstrate their desire to have a law that protects their rights. Today in America, generations of persons with disability are enjoying the convenience out of the struggle of their patriots. Today on this program, we'll be looking at the Edo story. Our focus is going to be on the journey of the Edo State Disability Law and its impact. And with me to have this conversation is the chairperson of the Edo State Joint National Association of Persons with Disability, JONAPID, Ms. Ann Ojugo. Ms. Ann Ojugo, welcome to Hitches and Voices.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, viewers at home. It's my pleasure to be with you this afternoon.
All right, I made a very lengthy introduction, but just to set the background for the conversation, like we say in our local parlance, how far? How's the journey been in terms of the Edo State Disability Law?
Oh, thank you so much. The journey has been a struggle for persons with disabilities in Edo State, a long struggle. I would say over a decade, persons with disabilities in Edo State, we gathered, we struggled to make sure that the Edo State Disability Law was passed in Edo State. We came together, we fought, we struggled, we had riot, we went to government house, we barricaded the road to make sure the law was passed. And I want to thank God that the law is eventually passed and the bill was signed into law, and now it is being implemented by the commission has been set up by His Excellency Monday Okpebholo. We are grateful to him. After a decade, it wasn't easy. And we also want to say the bill was passed into law in 2022 by the former governor of Edo State, His Excellency Godwin Obaseki. So we are grateful to them. But before we got to that, to the signing of the bill and the implementation of the law now in Edo State, it wasn't an easy struggle. Find out that we always come together, we persons with disabilities, just like you said, what happened at the State House in America was part of what we did in Edo State. Those of us who are living on wheelchair, we barricaded the roads. We went to several times we went to the House of Assembly, and the Assembly, they don't even, I'm sure some of the Assembly, legislators, didn't really see the need why the law should be passed in Edo State. So, but now we are grateful that the law is in place and that we have a commission for that will help us to enact and implement what is in the law. We are
All right.
grateful.
I think the question in the minds of many people would be, why do you need a law to protect your rights? What's the essence of a law?
The law is
legislative
very
framework?
important because as persons with disabilities, we go through a lot of discrimination. A lot of discriminations from the family, from the community, from the society. Just like you have said, nobody, even though we are being born with disability, disability should not define who we are. It is the society that
creates
the disability. If a child with disability is taken to school, you find out that the proprietor don't want, they discriminate against children with disabilities. If you see that the structures barricades persons with disabilities from attaining their rights, there is exclusion, there is discrimination. Persons with disabilities cannot be included in what others are doing. The society posed a big discrimination, a big exclusion. So the law is there to help us to see that we are further included into the society. In fact, the law will help us to be a part of enjoy what others are enjoying in the society.
All right, can you take us through some of the engagements your association, Jonapid, had to go through, maybe collaboration, engaging stakeholders before the law was passed and assented to?
Yes, there's this organization, Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption, ROLAC. We went on several advocacy visits to the Attorney General of the state, through the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, other disability groups like NAVID. We came together. We went with Daughters of Charity for St. Vincent de Paul. Many organizations, EU and so many organizations, we went along with them and we did a lot of advocacy to these organizations that can help us to make sure this law is passed in Edo State. And so those are some of the, and we also went through, we did street awareness creation. Awareness creation by bringing all our persons with disability to the street, tell them we must go out today to have a parade, or what I call it now, peaceful protest, that this law needs to be passed in Edo State so that people with disabilities, just like others are enjoying in other states, can have and live, have a meaningful life and live well like every other. Disability is not inability. That's what we just want to. We want to enjoy what others are enjoying. I want to be able to enjoy what other people in the office. You find out that you get to some offices, structural barriers. Because of disability, you cannot be given a job. That is a workplace barrier. You know, a lot of things are persons with disabilities. This law will further protect us from having such hitches.
All right. I know it didn't come easy, like you said. I would like you to give practical examples that persons with disabilities, some of the gaps that you saw, and you said, no, there must be a law in Edo State that protects us. What were some of those gaps that you saw that affected the lives of persons with disability?
Bad cultural barriers and practices was one of the gaps. You see that some people were there who, or in some communities, whereby somebody is a person with disabilities, a person has a disability, a child has a disability, they will name that child, term that child as a witchcraft, a witch, a wizard, just because the child has a disability. Okay, women with disabilities. You find out that women with disabilities hardly get married. The parents, some parents will forbid their children, their male child, from having anything to do with a woman with disability, just because the woman has a disability. You will find out that some organizations will refuse a man, or they refuse to give job, no matter how intelligent a man or a person with disability, like you now, you are a genius, the way I'm saying you, yes. But you find out that if this law, or if you are not, you are a private, you are working on private, but some organizations will not allow you to work with them, looking at the disability in you, seeing the disability, not you. As beautiful as I am, some organizations will not give me a job. Instead of seeing the beauty and the intelligence in me or the way I am, they will see the disabilities. They were some of the things we saw, and then we say, no, these things should not continue like that. We have to belong, we are humans, and we should have to be given the place we belong to. You find out that in some organizations, when they are doing staff meeting, if you are a person with disability and you are a part of the organization, you will never be called to be part of it. So these are some of the things we saw there, and we decided.
You're still on to Independent Television and Radio. The program is Hitches and Voices, and we are discussing the journey of the Edo State Disability Law and its impact. Like I said, this segment of the program is brought to you by Jonapid. We'll go on a short break now, and we'll be back. We are still having our conversation with our guest here, Ms. Ann Ojugo, Chairperson, Edo State Joint National Association of Persons with Disability, Jonapid. And she has been extreme the journey so far in achieving the Edo State Disability Law. The law was assented to by the former governor, Godwin Obaseki, but today, just a few weeks ago, the current governor of Edo State, Senator Monday Okpebholo, created the Edo State Disability Commission that would drive the provisions of this law. And I would like to ask my guest now, can you just take us through some of the very fundamental provisions of the law that you know that will help the lives of persons with disability?
Provision, we have, I think, law, prohibition against, what?
I know, for example, that the law, for instance, says that if there's a queue, persons with disability should be given first priority. Yes,
first priority.
Yes.
Persons with disabilities should not be subjected to torture. Persons with disabilities should be given employment, 5% employment. Persons with disabilities should not be given, they should not kill any child with disability or anybody, any person with disabilities. Persons with disabilities should be given, like you said, priorities when it comes to employment, right to life, right to enjoyment, right to, in fact,
I like that part, so it's life to enjoyment.
Right to enjoyment, right to inclusion, right to education, right to health, right to, is it what I call it now, social inclusion. Social inclusion means whatever others are. Social inclusion means you should be able to be included in the social life. Social life, marriage, enjoy your wife and children. Nobody, you should not go to the hospital and doctors will curse you, or the nurse will curse the man that makes you.
All right, I want to delve into that conversation now. As a woman with disability, yes, do you think women with disability suffer more in terms of discrimination against persons with disability? Is it a double tragedy for women with disability?
Of course, right. It is a very, excuse me, a double tragedy, because number one, being on the ground of a woman and then on the ground of gender. You understand? So, and then on the ground of disability. That's triple, Abi. Triple that. That's why you see that most women with disabilities, they don't get job. They are not employed. They are not, they don't go to school. Even if men, if you take the percentage, the rate of men with disabilities who are in school are more than those of women. The rate of men with disabilities who are employed are more than that of women. The rate of men with disabilities who have right to marriage and enjoyment life are more than that of women. The rate of men with disabilities who have children are more than that of women. The rate of men with disabilities who have work, who have businesses are more than. In fact, women with disabilities, they suffer more. Even the society, they tend to ostracize them. That's why you see that most women with disabilities, they suffer more of this. You see them, some of them are even living, the rate of inferiority complex with women with disabilities are more than that of men.
All right, you were about to give us a specific experience, maybe your experience or the experience of someone else with disability, a woman with disability, in terms of access to healthcare. You were about to say something in that regard.
Yes. You know, as a woman with disabilities, I also am in charge of I have other women group. Now, there was a woman in my group who was pregnant, and he went to the hospital. Instead of the healthcare personnel to attend to her, as a woman who had come for healthcare, the first thing they saw in her was to insult the guy that got her pregnant. Is that called for? She's a woman, and as a woman, she has rights to be pregnant and to have a child. And she came to tell me that this is what that's why even some of our women, when they are pregnant, they prefer to have a personal, maybe a personal healthcare services at home instead of going to the hospital. That was a very bad one, you know, and that one further shrink her. Somebody insulting the man that made her pregnant. That's a very bad one.
That's sad. Well, let's look at those with hearing impairment. Access to healthcare is a very big challenge for them.
Serious.
The issue of diagnosing them in the hospital, they find it hard to explain their plights to the doctors. Doctors can't understand sign language. There are no sign language interpreters to help them explain their peculiar situation to the medical personnel. You are one who has worked with these persons within the disability community. Can you share their challenges with us, and how does the law now protect them?
Yes, the law provided a place that in all healthcare facilities there should be interpreters. Before now, persons with hearing impairment, they hardly they go to the hospital. In fact, they don't even go, because when they go there, the healthcare personnel are unable to attend to them. When they are unable to attend to them, then in fact, when they get it, just do A and B for them. Because as he say in my head, maybe he has headache, but the doctor will just assume we want to talk about tummy and write something out of place for them.
No, we even have situations whereby as persons with disability, when you go to the hospital, rather than asking what brought you here, the doctor will just resort to asking you about your disability.
Yes.
Telling you that, oh, why haven't you done something about your sight? Why have you done something about your...
No, that one is a rampant one. That one is rampant. Just like if you go to churches, what they think you have come to do is to seek for miracle.
Have you had a personal experience in that regard?
Of course. That's why sometimes I go to churches where I am understood. Because when you come, instead of welcoming you as a dignified guest, or worshiper, that you have come to worship God in spirit and in truth, they take you to a special seat and begin to cast and bind and loose whatever has made you to be bound, to be sitting on the wheelchair. You understand? So that's the same thing my sisters and brothers who have a hearing impairment have when they go to the hospital. When they go, the doctor see them that the next thing they ask you, which hospital have you been to? What have they done about your disability? Don't you think you need to undergo through, there are some things we have passed through. That those people are seeing disability on the ground of medical model. You know, disability had different model. That is just they are saying it on the model of medical model approach. Instead of, maybe that's not what you have come to do. You actually now have come.
Okay, I would like to know, the law has been passed, has been assented to, the commission has been created. What's been the impact so far, and what's the awareness level of members of the public concerning this law?
The awareness is still very low. It's still very low because, 2022 to 2023, so to 2025, it's just how many years? 2 or 3 years. And then last month, that was when the commission was now implemented. The level is still very low. That's why we are here. We need to tell people about this commission, that there is a commission in Edo State for persons with disabilities. And that as from we still have 2-3 years to make sure everybody is compliant, because it's 5 years compliance. After 5 years, whereby people are not, their buildings are not in compliance with what is in that law, we will start, there are fines.
So the law provides fines and punishments for those who are in violation of the law?
Yes. So it's still very...
So in Edo State today now, the rights of persons with disabilities is protected, and if it's violated, they can enforce it.
Exactly.
Beautiful. You're still on Independent Television and Radio. We've been having a conversation with the chairperson at Edo State Joint National Association for Persons with Disability, Ms. Anne. And she has explained very detailedly the journey so far as far as the Edo State disability law is concerned. It's not been an easy one, but finally, thanks to the previous governor and the current governor, we have an established commission now that is to drive some of the provisions of this law. It is our hope and expectation that this law will not just be a mere law on paper, but that life will be given to the law, and that very soon many persons with disability in Edo State will begin to enjoy the benefits and the provisions of the law. Ms. Anne Ojugo, thanks for coming on Niches and Voices.
Thank you so much. My pleasure once again.
And thanks out there for spending time with us to follow what we do on this program. You can also do well by following us on our various social media platforms, www.facebook.com/NAVID-Nigeria. Instagram and Twitter is at NAVID-Nigeria. You could also visit us at our secretariat, number 34 Arosa Street, off Sokmumba Road, here in Benin City. We'll do this again same time next week. Till then, spot the hitch and be a voice.